Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive, really getting into Ezekiel chapter 32.
Yeah, and this one, it's quite something, isn't it? It's this incredibly vivid prophecy.
Visceral almost.
Exactly, about Pharaoh, about Egypt. It's set up like a lament, a funeral song, but, well, it's really about their total collapse.
Their downfall, yeah, and not just here on earth, but also what happens next, according to the text, in
Yeah.
the afterlife. The pit, it calls it.
Right, the pit. And you see these two main parts unfolding. First, you get this really graphic prophecy of, well, destruction, judgment on Egypt.
And then it shifts gears pretty dramatically, doesn't
It
it?
does. It zooms in on this almost surreal picture of where Egypt and its allies end up, joining all these other big names, these fallen nations down in the grave, the pit.
Okay, so the plan today is basically to unpack all that intense imagery, and it is intense,
Oh, definitely.
and figure out the core messages, right?
Yeah.
About things like pride, power, judgment, and divine control over everything.
That's the goal, getting into the heart of what this ancient text is saying about those big themes.
All right, let's jump into that first bit then. The prophecy of destruction. How does it kick off? It doesn't exactly flatter Pharaoh, does it?
No, not at all. It starts comparing him to a lion among the nations, and you think, okay, powerful, maybe majestic.
Yes, as standard king imagery.
But then, boom, it twists it. It says something like, you thrash around in your streams, you foul the water with your feet, mess up their rivers. So it goes from strength to like this disruptive, messy, arrogant power, mucking at the Nile, basically Egypt's life source.
So powerful, yeah, but a destructive kind of power.
Yeah.
Stirring up trouble. And the text says this kind of power is about to get shut down.
Exactly. The sovereign Lord says, I'm going to spread my net over you, using a whole crowd of nations to do it, and they'll haul you up in my dragnet.
Wow, okay, so the image is this powerful sea monster maybe caught.
Yeah, caught, trapped, pulled right out of its home turf, the water, by something way stronger.
And once it's caught in this divine net, where does it end up?
Dragged out, chucked onto dry land, I will hurl you on the land. On the open field, I will fling you, completely out of its element, exposed, helpless.
And the description of what happens then is, well, it's pretty gruesome. It's not just you lose the battle.
Oh no, not even close. It says birds will settle on you, wild animals will gorge themselves on you, your flesh scattered on mountains, valleys filled with your refuse.
Oof.
Yeah, it's total annihilation, stripped bare, no glory left, just leftovers for scavengers.
There's even that bit about the sky, right? It goes beyond just Egypt itself.
It does, yeah. It amps up the scale massively. When I blot you out, it says, I'll cover the heavens, make the stars dark, cover the sun with a cloud, the moon won't shine.
Ooh.
All the bright lights of heaven I'll make dark over you, put darkness on your land. So this isn't just, a regime change. It's portrayed as a cosmic event. Like the universe itself is shuddering and going dark because Egypt fell.
That image, the darkened skies, that's really something. And this fall, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It affects everyone around them.
Absolutely. The text makes a point of that. It says it'll trouble the hearts of many peoples. Other nations will see this destruction.
And freak out.
Basically, yes. Many people shall be appalled. Their kings shall shudder with horror. They'll tremble, thinking, is that going to happen to me too? Because Egypt was such a big deal, its collapse sends fear rippling everywhere.
And the text even names the weapon, the specific tool used for this.
It does. It points straight at Babylon. The sword of the king of Babylon shall come upon you. By the swords of mighty warriors, I will make your multitude fall.
Ah, okay.
Because it connects this, divine judgment to actual history. God using earthly powers, specifically the Babylonians, the most feared nation then, to take down Egypt.
And even the land itself changes afterwards.
Yeah, remember how Pharaoh was fouling the waters? After he's gone, the text says God will destroy the cattle by the water. No humans or animals will stir them up anymore. I will make their waters clear, it says, and make their rivers run like oil.
Like oil. That sounds still. Eerily quiet.
Exactly. It's a picture of like total desolation. Calm, but the calm after the storm of judgment, everything's just stopped.
And the reason for all this, the destruction, the dark skies, the quiet rivers.
It hammers it home repeatedly. Then they will know that I am the Lord. The whole terrifying sequence is meant to be this undeniable proof to Egypt, to everyone watching, maybe even to Israel, of who's really in charge, who holds the fate of empires.
Right. So the big takeaway from this first part seems to be, doesn't matter how big and scary you think you are, if you're just running on your own strength, causing chaos, you're accountable. And your rise and fall, it's part of this bigger picture, revealing who's ultimately sovereign.
Precisely. Earthly power.
Right.
Temporary. Accountable.
Wow. Okay, that first section is heavy. A complete dismantling of a superpower. But it doesn't end there. It shifts, right? Takes us somewhere else.
Yeah, it moves from the physical end, Egypt destroyed on the land, to what happens after death, to the leaders, the armies, their fate in the afterlife, in the pit or the grave.
Okay.
The command is given, wail for the multitude of Egypt, send them down to the world below, to those who go down to the pit.
So it's not just about losing the war. It's about their destination after death. And it asks Pharaoh a question, straight up.
Yeah, it cuts right through any lingering pride. Whom do you surpass in beauty? Basically asking, who are you better than now?
Ouch.
Go down and be laid with the uncircumcised. It strips away any claim to being special. Down you go with the dishonored dead, the ones killed violently.
This phrase, the uncircumcised, it keeps popping up in this section. What's the deal with that? Why is it so bad to be laid with them in this pit?
Well, in this context, and often in the Old Testament, being uncircumcised signifies being outside the covenant people. It often implies relying on your own muscle, your military might, instead of, a connection with God.
Okay.
So being laid among them, especially those killed by the sword, it signals dishonor, defeat, judgment in the afterlife, a total reversal of their earthly pride. Cut off, basically.
And it's not like they're just lying there quietly. There's interaction described.
Yes, it paints this really strange, kind of creepy scene. The text says, "The mighty chiefs shall speak of them. Out of the midst of Sheol the grave, they have come down, they lie with the uncircumcised."
So the previous big shots already down there are like announcing Egypt's arrival?
Kind of like a grim welcoming committee, yeah. Acknowledging, yep, they're here now too. Join the club of the defeated.
And the text gives us a rundown of who's already in that club.
Exactly. It starts listing these former major powers, like Assyria. Assyria is there, and all her company, all of them slain, fallen by the sword. Assyria, once the terror of the ancient world, just lying there now with its dead armies.
And there's that phrase again, applied to them too. All who spread terror in the land of the living.
That's the key link, isn't it? Their fate down there is directly tied to what they did up here. They were dominant, they terrified people, and now they're all together in defeat, killed by the sword they lived by.
The list goes on, right?
Okay.
Other big names.
Yep. Elam is there with all her multitude, all of them slain, fallen by the sword. Same pattern. Spread terror when alive, fell violently, ended up in the pit. And then this crucial phrase, they bore their shame with those who went down to the pit.
Bore their shame. That sounds important. What does it really mean to bear shame in the pit?
It suggests the judgment isn't just dying, it's an ongoing state of disgrace, humiliation that follows them. Their earthly arrogance, the terror they caused, results in this final lasting dishonor. They aren't just dead, they're dead and shamed.
Then it mentions Meshech and Tubal. Same deal hordes. Uncircumcised, killed, spread terror. But there's that weird detail about their burial.
Yeah, that's a really striking image. It says they went down with their weapons of war, swords under their heads, maybe shields on their bones.
Huh. Like a warrior burial?
Maybe referencing that tradition, but here, in this context of shame and the pit, it feels mocking. Like, look at your weapons now. The symbols of your power, the tools of your terror, they're just useless props in your grave. A reminder of the might that failed you.
And then that line.
The punishment of their iniquity is on their bones. It couldn't be clearer.
So their condition in the pit, the state of shame, it's presented as the direct result, the punishment for their iniquity, their pride, their violence, ignoring God.
Absolutely. What they did on earth dictates their state after death, at least in this vision.
And Pharaoh's told point blank, this is you too.
But you, Pharaoh, shall be broken and lie among the uncircumcised with those who have been slain by the sword. No exceptions. He gets lumped in with all the other fallen, shamed powers.
The list keeps going. Edom, northern princes, Sidonians. Same story.
It just reinforces the point. This isn't just about Egypt. It's a universal principle for any nation, any leader who relies only on their own strength, pride, and terror. The end is the same. Shared disgrace in the pit.
And then we get to the very end. That really strange, almost unsettling detail about Pharaoh's reaction down there.
Yeah, Pharaoh will see them and be consoled for all his multitude.
Consoled? How can you be consoled in that situation? Defeated, shamed, in the grave.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It clearly doesn't mean happy comfort. Maybe. Maybe it's a kind of dark solace. Vizri loves company. Finding some twisted satisfaction that he's not the only great power to end up like this.
Like his pride is still flickering, even in ruin. Well, at least Assyria and Elam are here too.
Could be. Or maybe it tells us something about the nature of this underworld state itself. That they're all aware of each other, and seeing the shared disgrace is the only warped consolation possible. It brings it right back to the reason why he's there. For I spread my terror in the land of the living, God says, and he shall be laid among the uncircumcised, Pharaoh and all his multitude.
Wow. Right back to cause and effect. His actions on earth lead directly to his place among the judged. This chapter it's incredibly powerful. Graphic, yes, but powerful. From that thrashing monster image to the sky going dark, the rivers like oil, and then this whole assembly of the fallen great powers down in the pit with their weapons.
He uses those shocking images for a reason, to really grab you, make you confront this idea about earthly power versus divine power, how temporary glory built on pride and violence really is.
Yeah, it strips it all away. Take these mighty empires and says, look where you end up.
Yeah.
Shared disgrace in the grave.
It's a stark contrast to how the world usually measures success, isn't it? Power based on just strength and fear. The text argues it leads here to shame, defeat.
So, bringing it all together then, what does Ezekiel 32 really challenge us to think about regarding nations or leaders who build everything on strength, pride, spreading fear?
Well, it fundamentally challenges the idea that that kind of power is permanent or, the ultimate reality. It paints a picture where earthly might is definitely temporary, it's accountable, and it faces a divine judgment that can just wipe away all the glory.
Right.
And leave the proudest sharing shame together in the underworld. It really forces you to ask, well, what should power be built on then, if not just muscle and terror?
And that final detail, that weird consolation Pharaoh finds, seeing all the other big losers down there with him, what does that peculiar point really tell us? About pride even in ruin, maybe, or shared misery, or just the nature of this pit they're in.
Maybe the most haunting part, yeah. Does it mean the only comfort left for shattered pride is seeing others just as shattered? Is the shame only bearable because it's communal?
Yeah.
Or does it just paint the pit as this place where the defeated are gathered, forever marked by their violent end, finding some perverse solidarity in that shared disgrace? It leaves you thinking, what does it actually mean for power to bear its shame with those who go down to the pit? It makes judgment feel less like a single event and more like an enduring state.
Definitely a lot to chew on there, captured in some really unforgettable language from so long ago.